Growing up can be hard. Kids feel the pressure of life just like anyone. But if you're in the foster care system, it can be way harder. Any little obstacle you run into gets magnified by everything else that's going on in your life. Imagine trying to focus on studying for a test when you don't even know where you're going to be sleeping next week.
What I love about Treehouse is really how they put youth into the center of the conversation. We meet youth where they're at, and we attempt to remove any barriers that prevent them from going to school or getting a good education. Even a relatively simple thing like allowing them to stay at the same school when they have to move to a new home can be a massive difference in their sense of stability and safety.
Treehouse is like this extra layer of support. No matter what's going on with school or where you're living, you know Treehouse is there if you need help with day-to-day stuff. Stuff that other kids probably take for granted, like having new clothes, paying for music lessons or sports fees, or getting their learner's permit.
We meet with them once a week at school. We get to know their teachers, we get to know their principals, and the youth tell us what's going on. We're there, we're kind of the middleman for whatever they need.
One thing that I absolutely love about Treehouse is the opportunity for us to work with young people and to help them realize their potential and reach their dreams. We've been providing hands-on support and guidance to youth in foster care for well over 30 years, and it's been amazing to be that reliable presence in the lives of so many young people. One thing is clear after all that time, that it's not enough to simply address daily challenges. The systems that are currently in place to support our youth are simply not getting the job done. Youth in foster care are still only graduating high school at about 2/3 the rate of their peers. And that's why we're leveraging our direct service experience together with research and advocacy to try and improve the system itself.
Treehouse wants to amplify our voices to make real change, so we have the support we deserve and need to succeed. Our voices can help inform how people think and work with youth impacted by the foster care system, to fix the flaws in our system. Having someone care about you and having someone understand you and feel for you makes you want to do better and makes you want to succeed. They helped change my life.
Welcome to Champions 2024. Please welcome to the stage, Angela Poe Russell.
Everybody, welcome to Champions 2024. You made it. We are so glad that you're here. As he said, my name is Angela Poe Russell, and I've been a friend of Treehouse for several years now, and I'm just delighted to see so much support in the room. I'm hoping you'll do a quick favor for me. In addition to being super generous today, which I know you will be, we have a virtual audience. And I'm hoping you'll say hi. Will you help me say hi? Okay, first of all, Xander's gonna come on stage with the camera. Hello, everybody. So these are supporters on Treehouse 2 virtually. So we're gonna spin the camera this way. Would you mind giving them a wave? Yay, we're so glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to those of you in the room, to those who are joining us virtually. We wish a joyous Passover to those of you who are celebrating and are honored that you would spend this next hour with us. Before we go further, I just want to recognize the land that we are gathered on today. If you're online, feel free to acknowledge the indigenous lands that you're on in the chat. Today in Seattle, we are on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Duwamish, Muckleshoot, and Coast Salish peoples. We acknowledge and honor the indigenous communities across Washington state who were the first stewards of this land. Throughout history, Native children were forcibly removed from their families, and the harm done continues to echo through their families, communities, and schools to this day. As we work to transform the systems that impact young people in foster care, we commit to keeping this history in mind. Now, in the pre-event slideshow, there were a few polls. This is for our virtual audience. We asked them to participate and give us an idea of where they were watching from today, and we want to just put those results up because it's good to see where all the support is coming from. Take a look at that. Okay, and you know what? This is something we didn't solve for. They did not account for the fact that their MC cannot see far away. I should have had So there's a plot twist, but as you can see, we have support throughout the state of Washington. Thank you so much for being with us. The next question that I'm going to ask for those of you joining us virtually, it's what does thriving mean to you? Because the theme is we can thrive, stories from youth in foster care. So if you would just let us know what thriving means to you, and then we will pull that up a little bit later in this program. I also forgot this part. I want to give a special shout out to someone virtually. This is the board, the team, and supporters watching from the McKinstry building in Spokane. So can we give them a round of applause? Thank you so much. They get a special shout out. Has anyone ever served on a board? You served on a nonprofit board. Yes, a few of you. You know how much hard work goes into it. You put your heart and soul. I just want to call out the board of directors for Treehouse and the Treehouse Ambassador Board. Thank you so much for your passion, your support. Yes. And where are my table captains? I know I have a lot of table captains in the room because you help fill the tables. Yep. You're the reason people are here today, so thank you so much for all that you're doing. And we have a virtual table captain and staff member, Kathy Long, Spokane. She registered the most people, 20 people, you all, 20 people. Yes, thank you, Kathy. Now, I also want to thank the amazing staff because none of this could happen. Treehouse is filled with mission-centered, heart-driven people, so thank you for the work that you've done for this event and throughout the year. Thank you. Okay, yes, we can give them a round of applause. And I have some sponsors I want to thank because, look, I'm a big believer in the power of community. It takes you as champions, and when we get our corporate community involved, we can really amplify our impact. So I just want to acknowledge some folks who are champions of Treehouse today. If you'll hold your applause while I get through that list, I'll appreciate it. We want to thank our generous corporate sponsors, Microsoft and the Seattle Times. Also, Alaska Airlines, Amazon, the Boeing Company, Gibson Family Foundation, and Symetra. Yes, love them. Also, Buckley & Associates, K&L Gates, KeyBank, KPMG, Puget Sound Energy, and Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati Foundation. And to all the other amazing companies supporting us today, we are grateful for your support and for your partnership. We'd like to recognize and welcome Governor Jay Inslee and First Spouse Trudy Inslee and all the current and former public officials, both watching and here person. You are vital to this work. Can we stand? Would you mind standing? Governor Inslee and First Lady Trudy, I don't know where I heard you're really close, but if you would stand, thank you so much. If you're able, please stand. Any other elected officials, thank you so much. It is not an easy job, not an easy job. We're so grateful. Okay, we have a matching pool today, our Champions Matching Pool. We have a passionate group of donors who raised more than $452,000 to inspire your support today. So here's how it's gonna work. Today, they're gonna triple every gift over $1,000. Triple, okay? And they're gonna double every gift of $300. And that includes if you choose the monthly option. So if you're saying, hey, I could do $30 a month, you will still be eligible for that match. Isn't that cool? And here's the deal. You can donate anytime by using the QR code on your table or through the donate icon online. And of course, you're welcome to donate now, but we'd love for you just to stick around and hear more of the stories so that you'll be inspired to just stretch as far as you can. Now I'd like to introduce someone really special to Treehouse. She's been a supporter in many forms, on staff, a corporate sponsor, I should say corporate partner with Symetra, has served on the Treehouse board since 2018, and is the new chair of the Treehouse board. Please welcome Sharmila Swenson. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone. I love being in this room. It's always like kind of a big, warm hug to come back together with so many friends every year for this event. I'm Sharmila Swenson, and I'm a Treehouse donor, ambassador, and board president. Since our inception 35 years ago, Treehouse has improved the educational and well-being outcomes for tens of thousands of foster youth in Washington state. 2023 was a milestone year for us, and we're proud to share that together, we supported more than 6,700 youth and young adults, removing barriers and providing everyday resources. This included educational coaching and advocacy to more than 2,000 students in foster care. We distributed 91,700 clothing items, books, backpacks, and other supplies, and we funded more than 6,000 requests for housing, transportation, extracurricular activities, school fees, and other basic needs. All of these things play an important role in helping our youth feel prepared and engaged in school. We know that students are more likely to stay in school when they have stability, when their basic needs are met, and when they feel like they belong. With our class of 2023, we celebrated 171 graduation success participants as they completed high school. And I'm proud to say that last year's class also marked more than 1,100 graduates since the start of the Graduation Success Program in 2012. Many of you have been along with us that entire time, so thank you. Over the past decade, the 4-year state graduation rate of youth in foster care has increased from 36% to 53%, and that is twice the rate of increase of the general population. It's incredible. Not only has on-time graduation gone up, but recent data shows that youth enrolled in our Graduation Success Program are 37% less likely to drop out of school than those not served by our program. And the true magic may be in the success of convincing youth to persist beyond the 4th year of high school if they need to do so in order to complete their degree. Our extended high school completion rate is above 60%. I could not be more proud of all that we've achieved over these past 12 years. And today we are thrilled to celebrate 4 individuals and organizations that have played an essential and significant role in our achievements. First, I'm proud to welcome Governor Jay Inslee. With the support of his wife, Trudy, Governor Inslee was first compelled to seek public office nearly 40 years ago after they led an effort to ensure educational equity in their own children's schools in Eastern Washington. Having served on his staff for over a decade during his time in Congress, I can tell you personally that I saw his deep commitment to students and young people. He is a leader that knows we have a special responsibility to our children and youth in foster care, and he has continued that commitment during his tenure as governor, making Washington State and Treehouse a national leader in improving educational and well-being outcomes for foster youth. During his time in office, Washington State has reduced the number of children and youth in foster care by 45%. And we've extended foster care from age 18 to age 21, including a bill that removes all limitations to eligibility that he signed into law just last month. Treehouse launched Graduation Success the same year Governor Inslee took office. In partnership with our inaugural Legislator of the Year, Reuven Carlisle, who's with us somewhere here today. Raise your hand, Reuven. Thank you, Reuven. And our 2024 honoree, Tana Sen, Governor Inslee has supported both groundbreaking legislation and historic state investment in this critical work. We share our achievements with all of these amazing visionary leaders. Please help me welcome my friend Governor Inslee to the stage.
Thank you, Sharmila. Trudy and I are very proud of you, and so is your father, who is here today. We want to thank him for giving us Sharmila and her leadership. This is really fun for Trudy and me. When I was thinking about why I'm having so much fun being here today, I hark back to my youth in White Center, where the buddies and I had a treehouse, and we would go up in the treehouse on 116th Southwest, and we would say what we wanted to be that day. And I remember my buddy Greg Brooks had said, I want to be a ship captain, so let's be a ship today. And Mike would say, I want to be an astronaut, so I want to be the captain of this astronaut. And I used to say, I want to be a governor so I can welcome Treehouse someday. And the great work they're doing, and here I am. It is a joy. It is a joy to be in a room with people who have made such a difference in people's lives. And when you think of Washingtonians, you can't think of a more deserving, more lovable, more promising group than these young people who have such potential if they just get a little hand of their difficult circumstances. And I have to tell you, when I see the strength of these kids who are going through the foster care system, you can't find a more inspirational story other than Rudy. It's just incredible what they do. I was very fortunate, had a stable youth, and when I see what they're willing and able to overcome if they just get a little help, it is extraordinary. And everybody in this room has played a role. Now, we've talked, and Sharmi has talked about the progress we're making of significantly increasing graduation rates. You know, we've decreased youth homelessness by 40% in the last 7 or 8 years as well. We've decreased the number of kids going through our separation process by 40% in the last 5 years, which I think is another achievement we should celebrate. We've made all this progress statistically, and every single one of those kids is a drama story themselves. So thank you. I want to thank you personally for what you're doing for this organization. It is moving the needle. And I want to reiterate, you've done it directly through your donations, but you've done it by supporting legislators who've done the hard things to be able to pass these bills too. And I want to thank you for your political activity as well. And the legislators who, you know, with the... Now this doesn't happen without leadership, and we're going to get to an honor a leader in a few moments, the 2024 Treehouse Legislator of the Year. This leader is a person who has championed every youth-based advance in the state since she's been on the scene. She is truly the go-to person in the Washington State Legislature on all things youth-related. She led efforts to secure $2.2 million for Treehouse to expand their federally recognized graduation success program, and I'm glad the rest of the nation is going to join us on this. She has been successful in passing House Bill 1188, which made sure that our kids with developmental disabilities get the full spectrum of services. She was a tremendous leader in this regard. She hasn't stopped there. She was a leader in her efforts on the Climate Commitment Act, where we're now getting these foster kids and other kids electric school buses so they don't have to breathe diesel smoke on the way to school. There's a nice little go-to. Wherever there's a kid in need, the 2024 Treehouse Legislator of the Year Award, Tana Sen, is always there. Tana, stand up and take a bow for your tremendous work. Congratulations, Tana. Congratulations, Treehouse. Let's keep the ball rolling. Keep climbing.
All right, thank you so much, Governor Inslee, Representative Sen. We appreciate you. Shall we get to our other awardees?
Let's do it.
Let's see. We have a few more people to recognize. So Sharmila's going to help me out here. From legislation to volunteering, it really takes a community far and wide to grow the work of Treehouse. Now we'd like to present the 2024 Wendy Walters Truitt Volunteer of the Year Award.
Stephen first found out about Treehouse in 1995 when he was a foster parent and brought his foster daughter to the store. After retiring from Boeing, he became a volunteer and has been a cherished member of the Treehouse team store for over 10 years. He brings a lot to the warehouse, but is most well known for his humor and his quiet dedication. We know that he does not like the spotlight, but we are so incredibly grateful for his role as a volunteer, a donor, and a friend to Treehouse. Please join me in celebrating Stephen Mead, our 2024 Volunteer of the Year. Stephen, please stand so we can recognize you.
There he is. This next award is honoring a 35-year partnership, 35 years with Treehouse as the 2024 Community Partner of the Year. This past December, Cairo News Radio celebrated 35 years of holiday magic. What originally began as this spontaneous holiday gift drive turned into a dynamic radiothon. The 2023 program was particularly impressive. Cairo News Radio staff from multiple departments created heartfelt on-air and online features that told memorable stories about youth and foster care. There was an online auction. There were interviews with UW athletes and Seahawks players. I remember Chef Tom Douglas being there. There were musical performances, a call center. I filled in for Ursula that day as part of this 13-hour day of special programming, 13 hours. It was all focused on foster care Treehouse, the work of Treehouse. My friends, you really did it all, and in the process raised more than $110,000 for Treehouse. Please stand. I would ask I know they're over here. Please stand so we can recognize Cairo News Radio as the 2024 Community Partner of the Year. Thank you. It was impressive.
It was amazing, and I'll just say, as a quick plug, if you come out to staff the telethon, it's like a good old-fashioned telethon. I got to hang out with Michael Penix in Rome while I was there. So just a plug to come join the celebrities at the telethon there. Our final award goes to the 2024 Corporate Partner of the Year. As the Apple healthcare provider for youth and foster care in Washington State, Coordinated Care is invested in the health and well-being of our young people. They've truly been a partner in every sense of the word, supporting our staff with trainings, ensuring our youth have access to extremely important mental health care support, and providing generous financial investment. The commitment is what we hope for from any partner of ours. We are delighted to honor Coordinated Care and their commitment to supporting foster youth and care as they grow and thrive. Will the whole Coordinated Care team please stand up so we can honor your work as the 2024 Corporate Partner of the Year.
Thank you so much to our awardees, and again to Representative Tana Sen, Stephen Mead, Cairo News Radio, and Coordinated Care. I asked at the beginning of the program, what does thriving mean to you? I would love to check in with our virtual audience. Hans, are we ready to maybe pull up a few of them to see what they have to say about our theme today? A couple of people said thriving to them means growth, success, happiness, and passion. And throughout this program, you'll hear more from youth impacted by the foster care system about what that means for them a little bit later. But right now, our next speaker celebrates 15 years at Treehouse this week. She has worn many hats over the years, from fundraising to programs to policies and systems change work. Please welcome Treehouse CEO, Dawn Rains.
Good afternoon. So great to see all of you. I just have to, this is not part of my prepared remarks, but I just have to say my introduction to Treehouse was that I did an internship in 1990 while I was in college working on Holiday Magic. So I just want to give a shout out to my friends at Cairo before I get started. So good afternoon, everyone. Today is one of our very favorite days of the year because it is the day we get to see and feel and truly experience this incredible community of champions, the community that built Treehouse and continues to support and sustain us. Today, we are surrounded by community partners, elected officials, staff, donors, volunteers. Today and every day, we are lifted by your commitment, your generosity, and your heart. So thank you for being here with us. And please join me in saying a hello to all the hundreds of people that we have joining us online today. Hi, Mom. Maybe you'll see a shout out from her in the chat. So today we are here to amplify the stories and needs of young people impacted by foster care, to hear about how foster care has profoundly affected their lives and how they are taking their lives back. This morning, nearly 6,000 children and youth across our state woke up in unfamiliar surroundings when CPS showed up, likely at school, a place that should be safe and certain. Most never saw that school again. They left behind favorite clothing and treasured belongings. They're worrying about what's going to happen to them and whether or not they're going to see their mom or their siblings this week. This might be their first or their third or their 10th foster care placement. Now imagine what it is like for these young people to go to school in the midst of this kind of trauma, transition, and loss. Often when kids come into foster care, they're forced to change schools. Not only are they without their families and everything they know, they're now also without trusted friends, teachers, counselors, and coaches. They are the new kid again. It takes time to get their school records. They get placed in the wrong classes or go weeks or months without special education interventions. They likely transferred in the middle of a term and are not allowed to join the football team or the jazz choir because they missed tryouts. They miss critical content when they get pulled out of algebra to go to therapy every week, or when they go for court dates that may decide their fate. And when their trauma and loss bubbles over into challenging behavior in the classroom and the school fails to recognize why, they get suspended or expelled. All of this communicates to our young people that school is not a place for them. And that's where Treehouse steps in. Clothing, shoes, and school supplies to help them feel good and fit in. Funding for extracurricular and school activities so they can fully participate. A Treehouse educational advocate to partner with their caregiver and caseworker to get those records transferred, to advocate for needed educational testing or negotiate down a suspension that will keep them in the classroom. A Treehouse education specialist to provide educational coaching and mentoring, to be that stable, consistent adult whose sole focus is to help them achieve their own goals, stay on track to graduation, and create their plan for the future. As you heard earlier, this integrated, holistic approach works. These direct interventions, anchored by human connection, are essential to changing the educational outcomes of our young people in foster care. But they are insufficient to affect the kind of change we envision and know is possible. So let me explain. Despite years of providing effective services that address significant gaps in both the foster care and education systems, we had countless examples of barriers created by these very systems. Placement changes, school changes, special education and discipline practices, and caseworker turnover. Agencies that did not coordinate programs, share data, or partner effectively. In many cases, there were no laws to protect the educational rights of our kids in foster care. These systemic challenges reduce the power of, and in many cases were a significant barrier to, our ability to achieve our mission. At Treehouse, we realized that we could work smart, long, and hard, and our youth still might not be able to succeed in school due to factors outside of their control or our control. And it became clear that we needed to develop and implement a proactive strategy to influence laws, funding, and practice. Today, thanks to our leadership, advocacy, and the collaboration with many partners over many, many years, and many of them are here in this room today, Washington State has some of the strongest laws in the country addressing the educational needs of youth in foster care. And we have a long way to go to implement them effectively. I view our role at Treehouse as creating the conditions for children and youth in foster care to succeed in school and in life on their terms. We listen to the voices of those most impacted and convene the players that can make meaningful change. We leverage what we learn from our work with young people to inform our legislative agenda and advocate to transform our systems. Sometimes that means partnering with government and schools from the inside, and other times it means advocating and challenging these systems from the outside. Last year, on this very stage, I stood before you, announced that Treehouse would open all of its programs to serve every school-age young person in foster care in Washington state, regardless of their zip code. Our reason was simple. Our youth should not be denied access to these critical supports just because they live in or are moved to another part of our state. Over this past year, we've been focused on growing into that footprint. We now have over 200 staff serving youth in every corner of our state. And I want to tell you that we are really stretching to keep up with the demand for our services. Requests for financial support for basic needs, extracurricular, and school activities are up 35%. Online requests for clothing and school supplies are up 63%. And requests for our driver's education and car insurance are up over 100%. As we expand our youth-centered education, coaching, and mentoring to new communities, requests to resolve tough school-related barriers through our educational advocacy program only grow. And we are advising nearly 100 new young people as they navigate young adulthood. More young people across our state need our services, and we need your support in order to fulfill their needs. 60% of our budget comes from our communities, from people like you. As we live into this expansion, we continue to center 3 critical commitments. If you were here with us last year, these may sound familiar to you. Number 1, we must effectively serve every young person. In order to achieve our goal, we must meet the individualized needs of every youth. We must re-engage the young people who are not enrolled in school. We must provide targeted, culturally relevant services to all of our youth, including our tribal youth, our incarcerated youth, our LGBTQIA youth, and our unaccompanied refugee youth who are in this country without a parent. Standing firmly in our commitment to racial equity, we must eliminate the disparities in outcomes for our BIPOC youth. And we are especially proud of our work in deep partnership with 6 sovereign tribal nations. Number 2, we must change the systems. Until students in foster care do not change placements in schools up to 12 times, until current law is fully and effectively implemented, until our students are not suspended and expelled at 4 times the rate of their peers, and until youth who've experienced foster care do not make up 40% of the incarcerated youth in our state, we have critical work to do. And number 3, we must lead the nation. We've learned a lot on our journey, and we believe that we have an obligation to share our expertise to improve education outcomes of students experiencing foster care across our country. We are proud that our work has in part inspired a group of national funders to invest in improving educational outcomes for highly mobile students at the federal level, and that Treehouse has become a key partner to the U.S. Department of Education. We dream of having transformational impact beyond Washington state, of Treehouse becoming the nation's leading expert on the education of children, youth, and young adults experiencing foster care. Over these next 10 years, we will build a path to do just that. In my role, I have the opportunity to meet with organizations across the nation about the challenges our youth face and what more needs to be done. My colleagues in other states often tell me that they wish they had a Treehouse. I can truly tell you that Treehouse is singular, the only organization providing this array of education and other essential supports with this level of effectiveness at this scale anywhere in our country. But we are singular today, we are singular because of you, because of this community gathered here today. We rely on the partnership of so many to be part of that village that our young people need. And at Treehouse, our mission is to create opportunities for young people in foster care to thrive. Our vision is that every young person impacted by foster care has everything they need to determine their own future and build the life of their dreams. I hope you will join us today in bringing that vision to life. Thank you for stepping up as champions for our young people in foster care. They are counting on us to be their community so that they can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn, so much. That's a big vision, and I think it's safe to say we're all here for it. So thank you. This next part of the program I have been anxiously awaiting. I'm really excited about it. Treehouse is in year 2 of something called their Fellows program. They hired 5 young people who experience foster care to work part-time at Treehouse on the policy team. The goal is for them to share their varied experiences and unique voice through selected projects within the organization. This year, 2 of the fellows chose to work on a video storytelling project. This cut is incomplete, just a peek into the work, and it's my hope that our director here, our producer, Maya, who you'll meet in a moment, that she'll turn this into a documentary. We are proud to present You Are Not Alone.
We could have outtakes on this too and put it out.
That sounded like I was another.
This project is extremely important to me. I feel like it's important for everyone to have a community of people that they can kind of come to and relate to. My hope is that in the future, foster kids will be able to look back on this video and be like, hey, you know, that person told this story, and that's what made me get to where I am today. Now I'm gonna start crying. Tell me a little bit about your story.
I went into foster care the first time at the age of 2. My mom got me back at 3, and then this CPS kind of stayed around a little bit, but we got taken away again for the final time. I was 13, and one of my sisters who was in the home with me was 17. And we never went back home since then. We definitely still talk to our mom. I still talk to my mom. My mom is in my son's life, which I'm very grateful for.
So I grew up in Puyallup and went into foster care when I was about 12. And I never really had a placement. I moved around from a lot of group homes or like shelters. And at a certain point, my mental health was really low. It's really hard not having a family. And there was a crisis and I ran away. And so I was gone for a year, and I fell into drug addiction and just a lot of really bad problems. And eventually I kind of realized, like, I want more out of my life. I want something better.
I was in the foster care system when I was 12. My family gave up on me. They signed over their rights to the foster care system. That's why when I was in foster care, when I got in foster care, I didn't like family settings. I did not like family settings because it reminds me too much of what my family did to me. I was a very angry kid growing up because I lost my mom in a car accident when I was 5. She died. But I didn't have a mom and a dad. I had the system. I had social workers, I had attorneys, I had police officers, I had, you know, the judges, I had courts. Those were my parents. For so many years, for 10 years of my life, those were my parents. And nobody showed me anything different. So I allowed myself to think that this was the way of life.
I was born in a prison in California. My mother was incarcerated while I was born. And so I went to foster care for the first few months of my life. I didn't like the foster care system much, so I became a habitual runaway. I went to pretty much every receiving home, foster home, group home that you could find there, and I just did not like them, so I became a Seattle street kid. I did crimes of survival at first, shoplifting, a lot of shoplifting, some burglaries, and ended up intersecting with the juvenile system, and that became like a second home to me. I preferred there, for whatever reason, I kind of preferred there over foster homes and receiving homes. So I really cycled in and out of there for a long time during my juvenile years.
What do you want people to know about what it's like to be in foster care?
I was a very angry kid who was angry at my social workers. I'm like, you don't understand. You go home to your family, your own bed. I sleep in a hand-me-down bed with hand-me-down clothes, and you just don't understand, you know?
I remember when I first entered foster care being super depressed. I had a problem with substance abuse, and so I got separated from my sibling very fast in the system, and I felt very alone. I Sorry if I get a little emotional, but I just remember just being like, when is this gonna end? Like, this is so terrible. And through that process, I felt super alone.
For a lot of years, you think you're alone. You don't have a lot of people to depend on, or at least you believe that. And I think to an extent it's true. You definitely feel like you're alone. And I think that's what makes some people, especially after they become justice system involved, grow inward. It really is a bad thing. And I think for a long time, I just grew inward. I did a lot of time in segregation where for a small child, being in a room alone, you don't learn to deal with other people, you're mad at the world, and you're just in a room 23 hours a day. It's almost like you begin to hate the world. I've met some people like that I grew up with, and when I talk to them, they just have such a sense of hopelessness, and I try to talk to them, but sometimes they've just grown too far inward.
You know, my whole life, like, I've always had people, especially family, slam doors in my face, tell me that I'm not valuable, tell me that I'm not worth it, tell me that, you know, whatever I do isn't going to make a difference, that I'm the reason why my mom's dead, or I'm the reason why I'm the way that I am, or that the world is the way that it is because I was alive and I was existing. And, you know, hearing that from your family members, especially as a young child, as an adolescent, that will stick with you. You know, it really does. It sticks with you. So, like, even to this day, I still battle with, I'm the reason why this person's feeling this way. I'm the reason why this person's feeling that way. And it's not my fault that I feel like that. It's not my fault that I can't get those thoughts or that negative self-talk out of my head. It's just everything that I've been through. It's that trauma latching onto me and telling me that these things are my fault because this is the way I am.
What does it mean for you to thrive?
Thriving from the perspective of a foster child, especially one that's been down and out, just means to overcome, not all of it, because I don't know if we're ever going to overcome all of it. I haven't overcome all my trauma. I still have issues that I work on in my head on a daily basis. And over time, to thrive just means you start overcoming that, and each step is thriving a little more. At some point when it turns, I think, is when you meet somebody that can help you through that, and usually it's someone that has that shared experience or lived experience. I did meet some good people that tried to help me think differently and think that you're not alone.
Enjoy the little things because they add up. But now being able to give back to the youth in foster care as an adult who's went through it, I'm honestly blessed. This is what I love. I love to share my story. I love to give back. Like, the many times I felt alone and other people made me not feel alone, I want to do the same for others. Like, so I'm super, super excited for that and what's to come, and super blessed that I got this opportunity as well, because it does take a village. I want to tell mommies out there, especially teen mommies, don't be afraid to take that help. It takes a village for real. I know you want to do bad all by yourself, trust me, and it's hard to trust people, especially, you know, going through hard times and being bounced around and stuff, but, you know, if someone is genuinely trying to help you and, you know, just, it's okay to take it. Don't be afraid to take it. Don't break yourself, because, you know, if you break yourself, there's nothing left to give that baby. And I know every mommy wants to give their baby the world.
Wasn't that powerful? Welcome Maya to the stage. Maya spent so many months working on that video.
I did.
And by the way, I know we might just be a few minutes over, but I promise we'll make sure you're out in a reasonable time. Maya, thank you for working on that. Your theme, "You Are Not Alone." What made you, because I know, ideated on so many different areas, but you settled on that one. Why was that important for you to share that message with the world?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I think the main thing for me is wanting to give some sort of hope to other foster youth. I know as a young foster child, I did not have a lot of people around me to give me that. And so the whole purpose of this video is so for other foster youth to see this and to feel motivated, to feel loved, and just to have the strength to keep going.
Yeah. How did connecting with your fellows on a deeper level and hearing their stories, how did that impact you as the storyteller?
It impacted me a lot. Everyone has their own story to tell, and I just think that everyone needs to be heard. You know, no matter what walk of life you're in, even if you don't feel like you're successful enough, that doesn't matter, you know. Whatever you feel like you're doing to thrive is the most important.
Yeah. How did you go about selecting who would be part of it?
Yeah, most of the participants in this project were friends of mine, or as I like to say, they're my family. People I met along the way when I was in foster care who are also in foster care, and they mean a lot to me.
Yeah. I know that in this capacity you were helping others tell their stories, and I would be honored if you would just share a little bit about your journey in foster care.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So yeah, I entered foster care at the early age of 2.5. I was then placed back into the system at 15 years old. I've kind of been on my own for the most part, but I did have a very lucky opportunity to meet a family. The Halls, they're actually here right now, if they wouldn't mind standing up for me.
The Halls, you're being put on the spot. So 2.5, you go into foster care. You're what age when you meet the Halls?
I met the Halls when I was 17.
Okay.
So they literally saved my life, and I would never ask for better people in my life. So thank you so much.
How did they impact you? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, when I entered their home, I was previously homeless. I was struggling with drug addiction and a lot of other things. And Marcia used to be my, I guess we call it an advocate, but she used to give me rides to like my counselor office, and she'd go in with me and advocate for me. She advocated for me so hard. And I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
No, you were just telling me all the ways that the Halls, about your relationship.
Yeah, and she didn't like my living situation, and so she told her husband, my dad, that she was bringing me home. And so they picked me up and took me home, and I've been home ever since.
Now, this video you presented today. It's the kickoff of a series. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I have kind of been messing around with this project. I don't know, I feel like,
No, it's okay, and this is emotional. It's okay. I mean, and you're on stage in front of all these people. I'm just curious, because this is really this is just the beginning, the video that you just shared. So tell us about what comes next in terms of the series.
I'm not too sure what comes next, but I know that this isn't it.
You want to tell more stories?
Yeah, there's so many other stories to tell, you know. There's lots of Alexes and lots of Mayas and lots of Marians out there, you know, just waiting for people to listen. That's all we want. We just want people to listen to us and love us for who we are, treat us like human beings, you know.
Yeah. Your time as a fellow, it's wrapping up when?
June will be the last
June will be the end. Okay. How has that experience been as a fellow?
Oh, wow. Yeah, This experience has been amazing. I feel like since I've met the other fellows, I don't know, they've become a part of my family, you know, like they are my lived experience siblings, and I couldn't ask for better siblings. So thank you.
Yeah. So So what's next? So you wrap up in June, and you have some news, right, about what you're doing next?
Yeah, we're gonna try and work on a documentary, and possibly a podcast for foster youth. So I'm really excited for that.
Okay. And you have a part-time job too lined up, right? Is it a job lined up that you have?
I do. I currently also work with iFoster, AmeriCorps.
Okay, awesome.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Anything else you want everyone? You were saying a few moments ago you want people to listen, and you know we're listening to you, and we're very inspired by you and the work of you, your fellows, and all who worked on the video. Thank you. Anything else you want people to know before we wrap up?
Thank you so much for being here and offering an ear. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for being willing to tell your story and the story of others. Thank you. Yeah. We love you. And now I just want to properly introduce our final speaker, former Treehouse participant, current launch success coach, and lived expert, Nevaeh Brewer.
Hi, thank you for having me. As I stand here before you today, I want to take a moment to reflect on the journey that has brought me here. I am an alumnus of the foster care system, as you've seen in the previous video. My story, like many others, resonates with feelings of frustration and anger towards ourselves, the system, and the world. These emotions underscore the challenge of thriving when it feels unattainable. High school, for many, is a time of exploration, self-discovery, and building friendships that can last a lifetime. But for me and many youth in care, it's a different story. Moving from one foster home to another, constantly adjusting to new environments, and struggling to fit in made it difficult to envision a future beyond survival. However, amongst the shadows, there are rays of light. It's crucial to acknowledge that those who appear to be thriving often do so not only through willpower, but because they are surrounded by a network of support. Whether it's the presence of family, friends, or the guidance of mentors, these connections serve as pillars of strength, helping to anchor us against life's storms. So, as we reflect on the journey of young people in foster care, let us remember that while the road may be treacherous, we are not alone. With the support of those who stand beside us, the dream of thriving, though daunting, becomes a journey shared, a journey made possible by the hands we hold and the hearts that uplift us. In my time with Treehouse, I was fortunate to have coaches that truly cared about their job and their participants. In graduation success, I worked with Kevin Burke, he was my first, while returning to foster care after being a runaway, and re-entering the public education system for the first time after being gone for so long, and getting my GED. At this point in my life, significant distrust of adults was built, and Kevin was not exempt. But he chose to push through until he got to know me. He knew me well enough to utilize the incentives that you guys fund for the Grad Success Program to help me keep pushing when things got hard. It was always coffee, and it always worked. After I got my GED, I transitioned to the Launch Success Program and was paired with Renee Jones. At the time of my transition, I was angry that I had to get a new coach. Because when you have such instability and lack safe adult connection in your life, and you begin working with someone who believes in you and supports you, they become the parent you wish you had. I had the thought at this transition of, I don't want to get to know somebody new after I put in all this work to build trust and to bear the most vulnerable parts of my life to them. And so I ignored Renee for almost a year. Then one day, after many months of her consistently reaching out, she broke through the walls I had put up. And from that moment on, I was a participant who would call every morning and ask, "Did you have your coffee yet? What are you doing today? How are your grandkids?" She always picked up the phone, and she always had the right answers, whether it was school, parenting, or career advice. I knew she had my back, and with her support, I dared to envision a future beyond my circumstances. I applied for college, and I applied for a role as a launch success coach with Treehouse. Even though I could have ended my time with Treehouse as a participant, I chose to step into this role and be the Renee that other youth need. All of which I never thought possible for my life. And now as I stand on the brink of graduating with my bachelor's degree with honors, at my 2-year anniversary with Treehouse, I can't help but feel immense gratitude for the role that Treehouse has played in shaping my journey, not only now, but also for what is yet to come. Thriving for me meant learning to navigate challenges of foster care, finding my voice, and advocating for myself and now others. Along the way, there were moments of doubt and moments when I questioned whether I had what it takes to succeed. It meant seeking out mentors and allies who believed in my potential even when I couldn't see it in myself. I look across these tables of lived experts, people just like me who survived the child welfare system. This is what thriving looks like. It's being here for each other. It's creating a community and family for each other. It's reminding each other that we are not defined by the worst things we've done to survive. It's being 22, like Maya, and worried about the next generations of kids in foster care, not feeling alone. That's where the support of this community and Treehouse is invaluable to making each of us not feel alone. So as I stand here today, I ask you to join me in supporting Treehouse and their mission to empower youth in foster care like myself. Each of you can create a world where every child, regardless of their circumstances, can thrive.
As we close our time together, I know that you have heard the need for support. You heard from Dawn how expanding all the programs statewide, it's needed, but it has stretched the resources of this amazing organization. They raise 60% of their own budget. You've heard from the young people how having community or even just one person in their lives made such a huge difference in their ability to thrive. It's not lost on me that it's the generosity of this community that makes all of this possible. As we stated earlier, gifts over $300 will be matched today, and gifts over $1,000 will be tripled. The matching levels are on your screen if you're watching virtually, and again, it includes the monthly options. As Sharmila said, we urge you to dig deep. There are several ways that you can make your gift. If you're online, there is a donate button to the left of your screen or a link in the chat. If you're in person, you can scan that QR code on your table to donate by credit card. If you need help, there are volunteers in the room who can offer support. Just raise your hand. And we also have pledge forms. We want to make this super easy for you to support Treehouse. Okay, we got the pledge form. We'll take the checks. We'll take the QR codes, credit cards, all the things. And you can just leave this with your table captain.
As we close, I want to remind us all that Treehouse isn't a building or a city. It's a commitment to every young person we serve that they are not alone, and that their dreams are valid, that they are worthy of love and support. This commitment extends to all young people in foster care in all communities across our state.
Absolutely. They deserve our support, our commitment. They deserve someone like Nevaeh to believe in them and help them transition from surviving to thriving. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us, for listening, for being so generous with your time and your energy. We are so grateful, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.